time has expired. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Call the member for Lindsay.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise in opposition to the private member's statement relating to the government response in supporting the adversely affected residents of those in New South Wales by the recent bushfires. I would like to start by commending the work of the Rural Bushfire Brigade and the emergency services that went above and beyond to help so many people across the region. My electorate in Lindsay neighbours that of Macquarie, and it was within my own electorate that I witnessed firsthand the commitment and the work of the Prime Minister, the Minister for Human Services, the Minister for Justice, coordinated by the member for Macquarie, where they provided help, support and assistance to the people of the Hawkesbury and the Blue Mountains. Their on-the-ground work alongside each other ensured the Australian Government's response to the disaster was swift and that those who needed support got it without delay. I would also like to commend my local community groups in the Lindsay region, from Penrith Panthers, who housed 1,500 firefighters throughout the entire ordeal. I would like to remind those opposite that in regard to disaster recovery payment eligibility criteria, the Howard government designed the disaster recovery payment to be a flexible assistance measure. When in government, Labor also adopted this approach by activating different criteria for different disasters. In fact, Labor used the same eligibility criteria that have been put in place on five occasions whilst they were in government. Labor incorrectly said that we did not activate the payment for those whose homes were damaged or destroyed. This and other comments made by Labor on this issue have been misleading and should be condemned. Over the weekend, following the initial fire emergency on Thursday, the 17th October 2013, the Department of Human Services opened its service centre in Springwood, Katoomba, Raymond Terrace, Charlestown and Wyong. The Department's mobile service centre was also operating throughout the Springwood area, including Winmalee, the epicentre of the devastation, less than 48 hours after the initial firestorm. 46 departmental staff directly assisted the emergency response on the ground and in the weeks following the initial fire emergency. In addition, 209 staff assisted the other services provided by the department, including, but not limited to, taking calls and providing technical support. The department has had a strong presence at the State Recovery Centre in Springwood and was on hand at the evacuation centres in Springwood and Lithgow in the immediate aftermath of the fires. The Lynx View fire destroyed 193 homes in Springwood, Winmalee and Yellow Rock. The Australian Government activated disaster assistance measures on Friday the 18th of October 2013, less than 24 hours after the greatest impact of the fire. The department is delivering 3 assistance schemes to those who were affected by the fire: the Australian Government Disaster Recovery Program, the Disaster Recovery Allowance and the ex gratia payments equivalent to the Australian Government Disaster Recovery Payment and the Disaster Recovery Allowance for certain New Zealand passport holders. The department's top priority during this disaster has been to deliver payments as quickly and compassionately as possible and to people in need. As at midnight, the 5th of December 2013, 764 claims for the Australian Government Disaster Recovery Payment have been granted, with more than $850,000 paid into people's bank accounts. 1,174 calls related to the Australian Government Disaster Payment and the Disaster Recovery Allowance have also been answered by the department. As at midnight, the 5th of December 2013, 44 claims for the Disaster Recovery Allowance have been granted, with money paid into people's bank accounts on a fortnightly basis for up to 13 weeks. People have until April 2014 to lodge a claim. The Australian Government Emergency Information Line operates weekdays from 8 till 5 p.m. For the first 11 days of an emergency response, the hotline was available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. The department's processing teams are taking a compassionate approach to assessing claims, but ultimately people still need to meet the eligibility criteria determined by the Minister for Justice. Departmental social workers have been deployed in the affected areas to provide support to their many customers, many of whom have suffered great loss from this disaster. I commend the work of the Prime Minister, the Minister for Human Services, the Minister for Justice and the Member for Macquarie in their compassionate work to those affected.
Thank the member for Lindsay.